So often in the spiritual and self-help worlds, we talk about healing and changing and growing. And while this is a big part of life, and there's no denying we need these skills and experiences, we have places we want to heal in ourselves. We have places we want to mature into. There's also a hidden trap waiting in these ideas, because sometimes what we need is to accept certain aspects of ourselves. Our needs, our preferences, what our bodies are actually asking from us in the present moment, without attempting to heal it out of ourselves or change it away. And sometimes the spiritual and self-help worlds will tell us we just haven't healed it enough. We just haven't dared enough. We just haven't dreamed enough. And that is why we are still the way that we are. For so long in my adult life, I tried to mature or develop into somebody who wants a very busy social life. I kept believing if I healed enough of myself, maybe got over the exhaustion I felt from being in groups and learned new mindsets and just dared to dream big enough, I would eventually love being in big parties and networking and having a huge social circle. I really believed that if I healed enough of myself, I could be a part of this almost mythologized idea of community that is so often put out there in the world. But in recent years, I've really started to accept that I'm somebody who values my quiet alone time more than almost anything. And I'm just somebody who is a contemplative. This is a core part of who I am. And I'll never want to be hosting huge parties or living a life that requires me to be in crowded spaces for extended periods of time. It's just not who I am. It's never going to be who I am. It's not something I need to heal myself into. I'm learning to really work with my love of quiet solitude. And I think what's so interesting in a spiritual journey any of us take is this process of differentiating between those things that are wanting to be healed, or places where we do want to see what happens when we grow and change into new forms, and those parts of ourselves that are allowed to exist as they are. I think this is such an important question, and one that I think about most days of my life. Hello, my beautiful friends and my fellow space blobs, which includes our whole selves, right? It includes our spirit. It includes the experience of being in each of our unique bodies and what we're moving through with that process of combining all these parts of ourselves and moving through it, the awkwardness, the unknown of it, the excitement of it, the disappointment of it, sometimes all of it. I think that's why I love saying space blobs, because for me, it expresses something about the dynamics of being alive and how strange it can be at times. And I feel like today's conversation really speaks to that experience. It's a big topic, and I feel like it's really important. It's one I've been really exploring over the last couple of years, and definitely over the last 6 or 7 months. This whole idea of differentiating between the things that maybe we do want to work on, explore, heal, maybe aspects of ourselves that we want to mature into or become. Of course, we're always changing and growing in life. And then the parts of ourselves that maybe it's okay that we either make some grace and space for it, or possibly, depending on what it is, embrace about ourselves and work with and make a center point of our lives. And I think it's important here to not put pressure on ourselves when there's something that we've realized about who we are, maybe something about our bodies or about our spirits or about our energy levels or whatever it is, and understanding or figuring out what that is. We don't necessarily need to go straight to revelation and celebrating and being like, this is so amazing, and just being super amped up positive. Sometimes I think also realizing the things that are maybe innate to us or something that we will be working with, we don't necessarily need to fix or heal or improve in this lifetime, can also be a bittersweet experience, because we also have to grieve the idea we had of ourselves sometimes, or grieve some of the projects or the ways that we thought that we were going to dominate this life, right? So it can also just be a process of self-acceptance that doesn't have to do with pure celebration. It can be that. And often it will be a whole mix of these emotions, from grief to joy to release to relief. But I think this is such an interesting topic. It goes really deep. I think it covers things, anything from sociology and anthropology and psychology to spirituality and philosophy, and just how we experience this human life. And the more I thought about this topic, the more interesting it became to me, because originally I was thinking about it in terms of spiritual worlds, because especially in the 2010s, I feel like there was it was a huge surge, right, of spiritual kind of connection, a lot of ideas floating around. The internet really helped a lot of us find ways to express and explore that magical part of life. But along with that came, I think, a new idea of like this ideal person. And the ideal person would be somebody who can go with the flow, who doesn't get triggered by things, who's floating around. You know, there was this kind of idea that if you were really doing the work and meditating enough and relaxing enough and having high vibe enough, that everything would work out in your life, and that, you know, that was the ultimate goal, was to become this kind of ideal citizen of the spiritual world. And I think we've come out of that a little bit now in the 2020s. I think that is less of the spiritual ideal. However, I think deep down, there's still kind of an innate message there that if we just do enough of our work, we will become something or someone else. And it's kind of subtle. And I think each of us probably imbibes that in our own way. We have our own little selves that we think we need to turn into, that are kind of lurking and teasing us up ahead, that we think we need to become. And each of us is going to have developed that from our own unique experiences in this life, and where we've had trauma or stressors, or where we've had certain messages brought to us. But I think this is also true in just our cultures in the world. In any culture, there's always an ideal citizen, whether that be an extroverted, bubbly citizen like in the US, you know, being very cheerful all the time, or, you know, being very civically minded, always giving back, not being too ostentatious or taking on too much self-confidence. There's a lot of different ways that we might get message around what the ideal citizen is, who the ideal person is. So differentiating between who we really are, what we're allowed to just accept about ourselves, I think it's important that we think about the messages and the cultural messages that we are fed from very young in our national cultures and our family cultures. And I think also as adults coming into our own spiritual seeking in the spiritual world as well, a lot of us are going to have this interesting vision of who we think we need to be that's based on all of these things. And sometimes looking at that can really help us figure out what it is that we actually don't need to heal or get over or change. For me, this has been coming up a lot because as I mentioned often, I immigrated to Sweden last year. And with that has come a lot of learning about myself. I tell you what, I knew that was going to happen, but I didn't know how, and I didn't know what it was going to reveal. I just knew it was going to reveal things, and it definitely has. And one of the things that has been happening for me since about September last year is I started to really push hard. I had this idea of who I was going to be here. So I was studying Swedish full time, working, hanging out with people, making new friends, taking care of my marriage, running around town, riding the public transit everywhere, just feeling like I'm going to make this stuff happen. But simultaneously, I was starting to have really bad health, basically. Constant chronic fatigue, sinus infections that wouldn't go away. I would get motion sickness really easily just from riding the public transit, which is not usual for me. Riding the train around is not normally something that would give me motion sickness. I was just having all these physical symptoms as well as feeling really low, feeling horrible. And it made me realize something about myself, something that I hadn't really thought about before I got married, before I started living life in a capital city, which is just that I am a contemplative at heart. I'm also just, if you know about neurotypes, you probably know where I'm going with this. I'm not ready to chat about all of that quite yet. That's still something that's very personal to me. But if you know, you know. I've been learning a lot about myself and who I am and how I'm built. and places in myself that I've been trying to supersede or override my entire life. And a lot of those things came to light since getting married and moving here. And I realized I had to really embrace the fact that I'm somebody who just does better with a lot of alone time, like a lot. You know, for me, I can't overschedule social time. I love my friends. I love having that quality time to chat and connect, but I can't do it every day. I'm not somebody who's just like, yeah, come over and hang out on my sofa all evening and we'll chat all night. That doesn't work for me. I can't be in loud environments every single day. I'm somebody who just really needs my alone time to thrive. And this was something that I think I judged internally about myself. I kind of unknowingly was doing this judgment of myself around this because I think I had this vision of myself being really social, having like this thriving social environment where I was hosting little gatherings and doing stuff and just living this vibrant life. And I think about all the studies they've done that kind of suggest that the healthiest, happiest person is somebody who has this thriving social network and they're always connected to other people. And they've done all those studies to show that people do live longer when they have that kind of community. And of course, we all need connection. We all need support. I'm not here to suggest that I'm above that. I need connection and support too, but I have to do it in my own way. And that includes for me a lot of contemplative time. It includes silence and quiet, a huge percentage of my life. And this has been maybe one of the most helpful things that I have just learned to embrace about myself this year. And it's something that before, when I used to live by the forest and I lived alone and I had my close friends that I've known for a very long time, none of these, I didn't really ever notice how much I needed this contemplative, quiet life because it was just kind of inbuilt into the way I had been living life before. Now it's something that I have to really honor and respect and actually put as one of the forefront pillars of the way that I build my life. And it's been such a relief to realize that I don't need to heal myself. There's nothing wrong with me because I want quiet space, because I want places to breathe in my life, because I am built to really live in a lot of quiet, because I am extremely sensitive. I have sensory overwhelm issues. They are very real. And I have been kind of lying to myself this whole time about having that experience, trying to heal myself into just going with the flow. And that has been heartbreaking for me. And it's actually stopped me from living my truest life. And I think that's what I'm saying. That's really what it comes down to. You know, sometimes things that we just feel like, why can't I just be like everybody else? Why can't I just be like that ideal, that typical thing? And that can be from anything from our physical limitations in our bodies to something about the way that like our spirit wants to express. These are the places that I think it's okay maybe to think about where we get the messages that we have to be a certain way and to give ourselves a lot of space to explore that maybe it's okay sometimes to not improve our entire selves. And there are places to just accept and be. Let me know what you think about this topic and your experiences with it. And if you connect with this at all, I would love to hear your comments. The last conversation we had, the comments were just so amazing. I appreciated every single one of them. If you're watching this right now and into the future actually too, we are still doing Weaves, Webs, and Wending over on Patreon. It's a 4-week series where I give some prompts and ideas. It's really to help nurture our creative spirits the way we are now, move forward through the mystery and weave our own unique pattern. So I would really love to see you there. It's accessible for all the tiers from $5 to $18. I have like the 2 different tiers. You can sign up whenever you want. You can leave whenever you want. So if you are looking for some more support in just being yourself in the world and just creating your own unique weaving, I would love to see you there. You can of course find me on my Instagram or my website. I'd love to see you in all those places. I love it when you are here and you subscribe and you comment and you like, because it allows me to keep sharing these conversations and just being here with those of you who need a kindred spirit. And I need your kindred spirits so much. It means so much to me in the world to get to sit here with you. So I'm wishing you all a beautiful day, evening, night, morning, wherever you are. And I'm sending you all my love. I will talk to you so soon.